Okay, today is it's day 4 of linear programming, and we're practicing those writing equations. This fools people all the time because they see twice as many cats as dogs and they think it must be like this. And of course, by me saying that, you must know that it isn't like that. It's like this. Why? Because there's twice as many cats. So if we want to make it equal, we got to double the dogs. Does that make sense? If there's really twice as many cats, we got to double the other one. Okay. Now, should it be greater than or less than? Now, that's the part that would be extra hard. I said that was at least twice as many cats as dogs. Now, to me, that doesn't just automatically tell me, oh, it should be this way or it should be that way. So how can you know for sure? The best way to check if you're doing it right is to actually pick some numbers that would work in the real world. Would you agree if I had 6 cats and 2 dogs that I would have at least twice as many cats as dogs? Okay? That's the extreme case. It's way more than twice as many. 3 times as many. But anyway, I can now put those numbers in. 6 cats, 6 here, and 2 dogs, 2 here. Now tell me, 2 times 2 is not equal to 6, obviously. So that tells me which way to put the sign, though. You see how it's like that? Now you can't just memorize, oh, if it says at least, you should do a less than sign. Because if I had reversed it and put the C on the other side, you know what I mean? If it was C on 2D like this, then it would have to be going the other way. But I can say this. If I want more cats, do you get how, since it's at least twice as many cats, I want even more cats than that? Then it has to be greater than on the cat side, like the bigger side should be on the open mouth, of the alligator should be on the cat side. If I want it to be at least like there's even more than that, then it should be a sign that's open on the cat side, bigger on the cat side. All right, but I know that's complicated. So if you want to be sure you're right on that, you're sure you're shading the right way on your graph, then double check using numbers. I'm going to give you one more like that and see if you can handle it. At most, we want to have 10 students for each teacher. So you have this private school situation and you want to have a really good class size ratio and you want to say, I want to have at most 10 students per teacher. There's an equation for that. And let's go S for students and T for teachers. At most, 10 students per teacher. How would you write that? Mr. M, how do you start? Correct. Or S equals T. Since I put them in order with S and T, I'm going to do that. And then I say equals even though I know it's not true. Now we try to make it equal. So now what? All right. Do you get that the students would be the bigger number and the teachers would be the smaller number, right? It makes sense. So we got to take the smaller number and times it by 10. You're all good so far. So now, which way should the less than greater than sign? At most 10 per teacher. So in other words, the school would really like it to be more like what? 9 to 1 or something like that. Okay, so then let's do that. Let's make it 9 students and 1 teacher. And if I put those in, 1 and 9, would this be true? No. Which way should the sign go? Should it be a greater than sign or a less than sign? 9 is what? Less than 10 times 1? 9 is less than 10, right? So it should be like that. So that last part is going to separate the A's from the B's on this next test. Can you get those fine points like that? Okay, so you make up numbers and you sub them in to make sure, okay, am I doing this right? Is this the right way to do that? Generally, do you get the theme is that we didn't want that many students? It's kind of like on the other one, we wanted lots of cats. Okay, here we don't want that many students, or relatively speaking, we want more teachers per student. So we want the teachers to be bigger, see? So we put the sign this way with the bigger side towards the teachers. All right, I know those are hard to tell. That's why I'm giving you this extra strategy of put in some numbers that you know would work, and then figure out which way the sign goes. So if you said S is less than or equal to 10t, or you rewrite it the other way, 10t is, got to switch the sign then, greater than or equal to S. And you can know for sure by sticking some numbers in and saying, well, they'd really like a 6 students and 1 teacher ratio. Would this work? 10 times 1 is 10 is greater than 6. 10 is greater than 6. Yay, it works. Okay. So that's just lead up to this big problem that I want you to try. This is a typical problem that goes from start to finish. This is the hardest of the problems because you have to do everything. It isn't just write the equations. It isn't just graph them. It's write them, graph them. Once you've got the graph, you find the little feasible region. So let's say it looks like this on your graph and you shaded this in. Now, do you get that these points are important? You really should label all of those points. But if you're maximizing, I get how you might be smart enough to know that that for sure is bigger than that, isn't it? Okay, so when you're comparing, though, at the end, you'd have to compare at least 2 points together in your optimizing equation. Okay, our optimizing equation in this case has to do with profit is 28 for each MP3 player and 33 for each DVD player. Again, this wouldn't be something you would graph. This is the optimizing equation. All right, so this is the beginning of your optimizing equation right there. All right, one last thing you need to know is we're going to make MP3s the X, and we're going to make DVDs the Y's. MP3s, X, DVDs are Y. Okay, so that's something you should do in your process here too, is say X is going to be this and Y is going to be that. Let X equals this and Y equals that. So let X be the MP3s and let Y be the DVDs. So when you're doing it, please use them that way. If you do it backwards, everything will be upside down and backwards, and it'll be really hard. Okay. Now you can use a calculator? Absolutely. You can use a calculator for this, and that'll be really helpful when 2 lines cross and you're trying to figure out where they crossed. Now, I want you to do this by yourself, but if you're stuck on a part, I'm okay with you asking the kid next to you, like, hey, what did you get for this equation, or whatever. I'm okay with that. I realize you won't have that on the test, of course, but I want you to get help during this. So I don't want you to just get like, I'm stuck on part way in and I don't know what to do. You can also ask me, but I would appreciate it if you can. Try to ask somebody before me, just because there's only one of me, and I would guess that almost all of you might want to ask me a question. And that'd be 30 questions, and that would take us the whole rest of the hour. All right, so ask kids near you. If you're stuck, do the whole problem from start to finish. I'm expecting this to take you at least 15 minutes. Okay, but this is like the test, so we're doing kind of like a lead up. The real practice test is tomorrow. This is like one practice problem. Sir? No, I'm recording. I'm recording on purpose so that people know. I know I'm recording that. That's okay. People need to know. This is what I do in class every day. It's okay. This is what I record. I record what I do in class. This is what we're doing in class right now, so it's all good. I'm gonna pause it in a moment once you start working on your homework. So stop. All right. Okay, so here's how you do this one. Define the variables. All right, define the variables means X is going to be, I guess I could say let X be MP3 players, and let Y be DVDs. That's defining the variables. Do you have to do that? Yeah, you should do that. Okay, because otherwise, if you just start graphing it with X and a Y and you haven't said that X is DVDs or Y is MP3s or whatever, then you can't tell which one's which. All right, next, write the constraints about the story. The constraints that are the equations. X, which is the MP3s, had to be, where is it here? At least 60. Greater than or equal to 60. Raise your hand if you had greater than or equal to 60. Okay, good. And then the y was the other ones had to be greater than or equal to 100. Now, do you get why on this problem I don't need to say x is bigger than 0? Because it's already bigger than 60. Could I include x is greater than 0? Sure. But I wouldn't have to because I already know it's bigger than 60. All right. X is bigger than 60. Y is bigger than 100. And let's see. Its factor is not equipped to sum more than a total of 200. Total of means x plus y less than or equal to 200. All right. So now we need to do this. And I said you wanted you to graph it. Okay. And it's totally okay to use your calculator as part of that. But so I'm going to try to copy and save these equations right here. And if I go right-click on them and say copy, then hopefully I can bring them down to the equation here. Right there. By the way, do you know that what we're doing here is actually one of your homework problems? It's the middle one of your homework problems. It's the same exact problem with the DVD players and whatever. Well, if you've already got it done, then you don't have to have it again. But you get my point? Like, if you don't have the work somewhere, then you can't prove you did this problem. All right, so if you're weren't motivated till now, because it's one of your homework problems, you might want to hurry up and catch up because you may as well do it because it's one of your homework problems. Okay, so if I need to graph this, I got to find where 60 is. Remember how I said we're just going to add a 0 onto all these? So this is like 50 and 40 and 30 and 20 and 10. Okay, so x is 60. X equals is the y-axis kind. Okay, so the y-axis is like up and down. So here's an x equals 60 line, but it's supposed to be bigger than 60. So I shade this side. And then here's x equals 100, which is like through here, and bigger than 100. So I shade above that. And then x plus y has to be less than or equal to 200. Well, 200 would actually be up there. And it would go to this spot if you have a nice simple progression of a slope of -1. Then it just goes directly from here to there. And again, a nice straight line. Now, not going to be perfect here. This is why it's handy to have calculators to tell us exactly where those points are. Okay, so I'd go second calculate intersect to find where those were because I wasn't able to be super careful here. I believe, here, I'll just back up and be more careful at least. Down 1 over 1, 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 down 1 over 1. It hits right there, I believe. And down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, over 1, over 1. There we go. There's the part that's the most important. Okay, so now I guess I won't even have to go to my calculator because I can see where they cross. I can see it crosses at 140 and 60. Notice me labeling that point. 140, comma 60. All right, next point. Did you guys agree on that? Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I think somebody said it. 60, comma 140. Somebody got it right now? How many of you had 60, comma 140? That's one of your important points. Okay, good. Then the next one is x is 100, comma y is 100. That's an important point. And then there's this one. Now think about it. In the context of maximizing, could that be the biggest one? No. All right, so I'm going to label it just because I feel like that would be being thorough. 60, comma 100. But I know that's not going to be the answer. Okay, so of these guys, I never said shade underneath this one, but we do. Okay, of these points, I'm going to be checking this one against this one to see which of them gives me better profit. To do that, I need a profit function. The profit function is P equals, and then, let's see, what's the rest of it? 28 for each x, is that right? Help me on the other part. Plus what? 33y? Thank you. Is that right? Anybody else verify that that's right? Okay, good. All right, then I now need to put these numbers in there and see which one gives me the best result. I would appreciate when I'm grading these if you keep them organized. So a good way to keep it organized is like a little table. And I'm going to compare 60, comma 140, and 100, comma 100. And this will be 28 times 60 plus 33 times 140. And this will be 100 times 28. Oops, I should put the 28 first. Plus 33 times another 100. And that makes this 2,800 plus 3,300, which makes 30, 40, 50, 6,100 for the bottom one. And this top one, somebody help me with the calculator part, 6,300. Can anybody verify that they had 6,300 as their final? All right, then you did it right. And you're 2 days before the test. That's a good sign. If you can do all of that. Now, if you didn't do all of that and you are depressed, understand that you have 2 more days. You have tonight's homework to practice. Then tomorrow in class you do a practice test, which also has the answers, where you'll be shown the answers. And then Monday is the real test. You'll have the weekend to study too. Okay? All right, so we want to use the rest of the time. We have about 10 minutes left. I'll let you come up and ask me individual questions about this. Otherwise, if you want to start, the homework is D. Worksheet D is in dog. And that's all I have for you for today.